Hello Cinnamon Bun, welcome to me setting up my journal for early autumn. Not really September, not really October, kind of both. We'll get to it. So I am still getting over a cold that I had like last week. I tested negative. It seems for all intents and purposes just to be a cold. And I have a cough. I have a chesty cough that is very persistent. And I'm not a fan. So I'm really not looking forward to having to edit out all the coughs of this video. But hey, whatever. Hi! Hello! It's been a while. I've been working on videos and my hard drive corrupted again, so I've lost them. So it's been longer than I would have liked since I have uploaded anything, but here we are. This is a journal video. I'm setting up to plan my month. And to be honest, I kind of overhauled or refined my planning routine in this session. So to be honest, there's a ton of stuff I could talk about if I wanted to like walk you through everything I'm doing. But I also just want to chat, and be like, hey, how are you? How am I? What's life been like? Because life has changed a lot in the last few months. So I'd like to do all of that, but it does seem like it may be the longest bullet journal video of all time. We'll see how it goes. So the first thing I'm doing is actually just like writing out my list or like the steps of the process I'm going to go through in this video in planning my month. So I have a copy of like my old routine on my Notion, but it's been kind of obsolete for like a long time now, so I've been referring to it, but there's a lot of stuff I don't do anymore that doesn't apply anymore. So I thought with this one it would be nice to just actually clarify that routine, like actually make a list of the steps and have that noted down like in its most up-to-date version, so that I can just crack that out every month when I sit down to plan. This is, I've been, I'm a big fan of like routines and structures. This is something that I've been doing with like basically everything I possibly can recently, which is if there is a process in which I have to go through several steps to do something, I, without fail, just never remember the steps. Like, things are just too complex. So I've gotten into the habit recently of like anything where there could be a little list of like 1, start with this, 2, move on to that, that I can refer to. I try to just write it down and then use that and kind of outsource the thinking of it. So that is what I'm doing with this as well. I'm kind of designing my new routine, and then I'll work through it, and if things change or I want to change it, then I'll modify it and rewrite it or whatever. So yeah, this is me like mapping out the basic steps. The first phase is something that I already did, which is actually going to be part of my routine for wrapping up the previous month, which is just kind of like going through my last month of daily logs, like sifting through, like reviewing, reflecting, looking at what my month was like, getting a bit of a bird's eye view, because honestly, I really only remember like the last few days. Anything earlier than that like is just gone from my brain. So like having a record of it in my journal and being able to like actually summarize what my last month has been like is incredibly helpful. So yeah, that happens in the previous month, like the month ending. So I've already done that, but I'm just writing down the steps. And then we move on to setting up my new month, like setting up the spread basically, and then actually populating it. So deciding like what am I going to be working on, like making the plans essentially. And those are the rough kind of 3 phases of the process. So this is me just setting the vibe, which I like to do whenever I'm setting up my journal. I like to like make it a little ritual. I like to light a candle, either light some incense or diffuse some oil so it smells good, invite any of my guides who want to come and hang out to do so, and just make it a little bit fun and witchy. And this is me just doing a super quick little sketch of the layout for my setup for my spreads. I'm just copying the same one that I did last month, but obviously I won't be able to look at that as I'm doing it in my journal because it's in my journal, so I'm just using that as a reference and just sketching out like what are the rough sections of the spread, because it does have like a Dutch door and stuff. And when I do put together my little, okay, here's my monthly planning routine, I guess, I'll also just include this sketch so that I can keep using it in future and I don't have to do this every single month. Yeah. There's been a lot of that. It's a lot of like me being like, I don't remember how to do this. I know I have a reference of it somewhere. Okay, can I make that reference more accessible for doing it again in future? Okay, so you might have heard me mention before that I have experimented in the past with planning according to my cycle, like my menstrual cycle, as opposed to like the months. And I've tried both, and I've tried like trying to, sync up one to the other, like in spreads and stuff, and I've never really quite got it working the way I wanted to, but I feel like I finally have with this. I did with last month, and I'm just kind of repeating that with this month. And so I think, yes, the process is like I plan on a cycle basis, which means that my setup goes like over 2 months. The way that I look at months and seasons anyway, to me September is like early autumn, October is like mid-autumn, and November is late autumn, and then it's kind of the same for all the rest of the seasons. So like each month has like a kind of seasonal title in my head, at least. Then December would be like early winter. So I'm naming my cycles, like giving these setups titles according to the seasons instead, and then just noting the months. So this setup is for early autumn 2021, which for me covers from like mid-September to mid-October, and that will migrate because my cycles are like about 35 days long, so they kind of migrate, and sometimes they sync up basically perfectly with a month, and sometimes they're like split over two. But yeah, I'm kind of liking setting things up this way, and I feel like I finally cracked like how to do that in a way that makes sense. And I also, as usual, am marking the edge of this page with black washi tape. That is literally just so it's easy to flip to. I can always find my current like monthly spread really easily because they're all marked with this black like edge. So it's literally just that. I've actually also recently started using just little sticky tabs to mark my current weekly and my current daily, and that has actually been super helpful as well. It just means it's super quick to flip to things instead of like paging through, which is nice. And now we're getting into the meat of things, and I'm actually setting up the different sections of my spread. And you can see I end up referencing my previous setup like quite a lot. So I like to have a little calendar column here. This is so that I can see it synced up with my cycle on the next column. And you can see that I'm starting from the first day of my cycle, so it's the 12th of September rather than the 1st, and it will continue all the way through to like mid-October. And this is not really for me to plan like sketching out my time or my schedule or my appointments. I do have like a rough sketch of like, you know, really big important things in here so I can see them at a glance, but really what I found this useful for is like marking, like writing down the biggest event or the main focus for what that day was, like as I'm going through the days, and that ends up being my kind of like, end up getting like a bird's eye view of what my month was actually like, not what I planned it to be at the end of the month, which, like I say, I do a bit of a review and reflection, like closing off the month or the cycle. And this is incredibly helpful for that because, like I say, I really only remember a few days ago, like things that happened earlier, unless they were like super memorable for some reason. Like I really don't. So this is really helpful for that and helps me honestly cut myself some slack, because a lot, like certainly last month, I spent the whole month like beating myself up about not getting enough work done and being like, why can't I just do things? Why can't I just get to the things? And then I looked at my previous month and all the days and I was like, oh right, yeah, you had an ADHD week from hell, which went straight into losing all your current work because of the corrupted hard drive, which went straight into being sick, which went straight into your period, which went straight into your birthday. So no fucking wonder you haven't gotten anything done. So yeah, I think I want to be able to do that again. So that's what the calendar is about. And I actually line up where I'm writing my cycle. I line it up so the days are correct. So Sunday the 12th would be the first day of my cycle, and so I can check like those are all like what's the word I'm looking for? Lined up. Aligned? Oh, okay, that's what I was going to say. It's just that, yeah, so this is more like a reference of what my month ended up actually being, like a record of my month. In terms of actually planning and keeping track of my upcoming appointments, there's kind of two things I need to do in my calendar. There's keeping track of upcoming like appointments, dates, like times when I'm doing specific things. And then because I work for myself, all my other time is flexible and freeform, and I need to basically assign it to work on different things or to take off or whatever. And so those two things happen in iCal and in my weekly spreads respectively. It's a little bit redundant sometimes because I am copying like, you know, appointments into my journal, and they're also all in my calendar. But I find it incredibly helpful to be able to reference my calendar. I've made it part of my like morning and night routines to check my calendar on my phone for whatever is coming up the next day, so that I know if I've got things on at specific times. And then I'll sketch out like what I'm working on any given day around those appointments in a weekly spread. So yeah, I don't know if that seems convoluted to people. It's been working really well for me. So there you go. So I try to like sketch out these kind of like mini to-do lists for each phase of the cycle, like roughly in the space of where that phase will be in terms of days. So I would like check my cycle tracker on my phone. I use Read Your Body, which is the best one I've found. I highly recommend it if you want to track your cycle. And I would look at like, okay, so my like follicular phase looks to be from about day 5 to about day 9, sometimes to like 12. So I'm going to put my little follicular to-do list like in the space for those days roughly, so that, you know, when I'm looking through my days and moving through the month, I can see like just spatially like where I'm at in that little list. And just so I'm not being too cryptic, in case you have no idea what I'm talking about or what those phases are, I can tell you. So the phases are at the start of the cycle, day 1 being your period. That's like your winter phase. Follicular, it's like pre-fertile, pre-ovulation. That's spring. And then fertile and ovulation is summer. Post-ovulation is late summer. And then your luteal, so that's your kind of autumn of your cycle. And then I also sometimes break that up into a late autumn as well, because there's a point after which like things ramp up a bit in terms of like PMS or cycle symptoms, and I have to like prepare for winter, and then you're back into menstrual and winter again. So if you're curious, that's what that is. So by this point I had basically finished all of the phase 2 of the routine, which is, you know, setting up the spread, the empty spread, ready to be populated with decisions and shit that I'm gonna do. So then I was like, well, okay, I now need to get my shit together and, you know, figure out my priorities, take stock of like my calendar, look at my deadlines, projects, all of that, and be like, okay, well, what am I working on this month? What do I want to achieve? How am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? What's going to happen? So I spent a bit looking at my kind of like updating my cycle list, my cyclical list, because some of that was a bit obsolete now. And I had things that I wanted to try that I thought might work better. And that also meant like my task list, which you can see is called main quests. So yeah, I had a bunch of stuff to figure out with that. So I did a little bit of that on my laptop on Notion. And then I got tired. Like, I'd been doing this for a few hours, and it was starting to get dark. So I was like, I'll take a break. And then it ended up not being a break, and I ended up just coming back the next day. So you can see this is me having breakfast off a paper plate, because executive dysfunction, and setting up a new vibe where I diffuse some essential oils to make it smell really good while I do. So this is me doing my mental inventory. So part of this planning process, like I say, is wrapping things up at the end of last month. And so this, I actually start my mental inventory for the following month when I do that reflection stuff, because any tasks that are still open on my daily logs at that point, I migrate them onto this. But that's just the first part of the process. The second part is just doing the pensive thing, completing the rest of the mental inventory, which is basically just downloading all of the tasks that are floating around in my head, everything that I'm thinking of doing, that I'm telling myself I should be doing, or that I want to do, all of them go onto this one sheet of paper. And then once I've exhausted all of that, it's a process of going through and actually prioritizing, focusing down, okay, what's actually important for me to work on this month, and what can get shunted over to next month, or what actually have I decided that I don't want to do at all. And so the mental inventory is a tool from the original bullet journal method. I feel like I maybe don't say this enough, but I learned how to do it from the book by Ryder Carroll, The Bullet Journal Method. If you are a bullet journaler, or you've been thinking about starting one and you're curious, I highly, highly recommend not even starting with YouTube videos. Ignore the YouTube videos. Ignore me. Just go and read the book, because it's the most helpful thing and really the most simple version of the process. But the mental inventory is something that I come back to a lot, because it's super, super helpful. So this is me filling out mine. And I will say that, like, honestly, yeah, this process, like, when I start a mental inventory, I am stressed out of my nut. Like, genuinely, like, when I was doing this, I was just so overwhelmed, and I felt like I had a million things going on in my head, and I wasn't getting to any of them. I was forgetting things, and I was just very stressed out. And so, but there is, like, I've done this enough times now that I know I know the feelings. I know that's how it feels to like download the mental inventory, and a lot of the time, like I'll complete the mental inventory as in I'll finish downloading all the tasks onto it, and I'll be like, oh my god, I couldn't, and there's no way I'm gonna get all that done. There's no way. Oh my god, how am I gonna do this? That tends to be the feeling. But I have this like process in place now to follow, where I know that by the end of it, I will have distilled it down, I will have like prioritized, and my head will feel 10 times clearer, and I will feel much more focused and much less overwhelmed. And that's why I keep doing it. So then it is a process of migrating the contents of the mental inventory into the right places. So that means like scoring off anything that I've done, anything that's obsolete now, and then prioritizing the rest. So evaluating, okay, what's vital, aka what's a main quest, what is something that matters, okay, that's a side quest, and then anything else that I'm like, I'd still do want to do that one day, I just don't know when, and it's not really a high priority. That's what I call level ups. Sort of like low priority stuff that I want to get to at some point. And so I basically have these like 6 master to-do lists in my Notion, what I call life domains. It's a whole new system kind of process that I've been creating for myself in the last few months. If you're a patron of mine, you've probably already heard me talk about it in the clubhouse, because that's what we talked about. Actually, I should just say, hey, if you're interested in what I'm talking about with this life domains stuff, we have a recording of me going through the entire thing. So if you become a patron for as little as $2 a month, then you can watch me talk about that for like an hour. But basically it's these 6 master to-do lists that cover like the 6 different areas of my life, and these are kind of my master list. So the idea is that these are really long term, and then when I'm planning my month, like I'm doing right now, I'm looking at, okay, well, what are the most important things for me to tackle this month, and pulling them off and making a little monthly like mini list, and then I don't refer to those main lists on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, because if I did, I would just be constantly overwhelmed. So, having actually made those decisions now and figured out, okay, what are the most important things that I want to tackle this month, this cycle, I'm now adding them to my main quests list, organised by their different domains. So we have Divitiae, which is money and paid work, Genero, which is creativity, Domum, which is house and environment, Socialis, which is relationships and social life, let's see if I can remember the last ones. Spiritus, which is mind and mental health and spirituality, and Corporalis, which is body and like physical health. So yeah, all of the things I want to get done are kind of organized by where they fall in those categories. And then I am just filling out my cyclical list for this month as well. Like I said, I kind of refined it, pared out the things that I wasn't doing or that weren't really working or that didn't really make sense anymore, and have added some things that I'd like to be doing on a monthly basis. But it's basically like recurring stuff that I want to do like every cycle. And hopefully between the cyclical list, which I guess is like my monthly list, the main quests, which are like, okay, no, I've talked myself into a knot. Listen, basically, everything that I want or need to do is either a recurring thing that I want to be doing on a regular basis, with whether that is like daily, weekly, or monthly, or seasonally, and hopefully all of those are covered by the routines that I've created for myself, one of which is this cycle list, which covers my monthly stuff. All of that recurring stuff hopefully is covered by routines, and then anything else is like, you know, one-off stuff, or like ongoing like projects, work, like stuff that changes day to day and week to week and month to month. And all of that should be covered under quests, which are divided by their domains. Is this too complicated? Life is complicated. I know I say this a lot, but genuinely, like, I realize that for your average person, this probably is too complicated, or it has too many moving parts. If you have, you know, a job which is structured for you and organized for you, and your time is accounted for, then something like this is probably overkill. But I need to have an extremely robust system because I have ADHD, and also I work for myself, and I have no external structure in my life. I have no structure except the structure that I create, and so I've spent a fair amount of time figuring out how to create structure for myself. Why am I defending myself? This is my process. This is what I do, and I feel like it's really starting to work really well in a way that it hasn't in a while. So that's cool. That's something, right? So that really was all of my like plans for the month. I then was like, okay, well, I might as well, while I'm here, also make my plan for the next week, because it's a busy time for me, because enrollment week is coming up. And I have been floating around without a plan, untethered from my life, untethered from structure for weeks now. So I was like, okay, I'm going to plan my week. But with this new life domain system that I have put in place, where it basically creates these themes for my work days. So, you know, I'm trying to go through like my normal like daily routines, and then deciding on what kind of work I'm doing, or what I'm doing for the day is decided by what domain I'm working in. And so I then, in my weekly, need space to write down the domains and any projects within those domains that I am doing. So like take Devizia, right, which is money and paid work. The Story Magic Academy is one project within that. So I wanted to create like a little key for myself and like a weekly spread layout that made it really easy for me to like basically map out what I want to work on what days. And so it just like I'll be using this same layout probably for like a while. So I was like, okay, just why don't you just take the time to sketch some things out in pencil, see what you like the look of, and actually like design a new weekly spread for yourself. Because I've been using the same kind of weekly layout for ages. I don't use it every week, but like if I'm on my shit, hopefully most weeks. And I kept finding like I would run out of space for like information that I wanted. So I was like, okay, just change the layout then. So I did that. So like also, hi, hello, it's been a while, shall we catch up a little bit? As well as just having an insane amount of like deep planning chat in this video. Hi, I am doing good. What a fucking concept. No, I'm doing good. I mean, things like over the past few months have been happy, chaotic. I feel like is the best way I can describe it. You know, I've had a lot of great stuff, but in general, I think I'm operating at a happier, better frequency than I have been, or than I was over most of 2020 and a lot of 2021. So that's nice. It's not that there aren't still ups and downs, because obviously that's life, baby. There are, but the highs are definitely higher and the lows aren't nearly as low. So that's nice, isn't it? Which, to be honest, definitely has a lot to do with my new relationship that I'm in, which is lovely. So, but also chaos. So yeah, it's been quite disruptive in a lot of ways, because I've just been like, but also really nice. So yeah. I don't know what else, I don't know how much else to say. So I wasn't sure how much I wanted to share at all in videos, because, you know, it's just with like, you know, having so much of my last relationship on being very public on YouTube, is like, in some ways is how it was meant to, how it had to be, but it's just made me think, you know, how do I want to do things now, because this is literally the first time I've been in a new relationship since I started doing YouTube, which is fucking mental actually when you think about it. So it's a new thing to navigate for me, and I wasn't sure how much I wanted to share, and I still want to keep a lot of things fairly private, I think, but I can say, if you watch my existential video, you'll know, I met someone. His name is Pete, and he's really nice, and he's my kind of chaotic, and so we have been dating now for about, I think we're at about 2.5 months, and it's great, and so that has changed my life pretty drastically. So yeah, you might hear about him more. You might see him at some point. I don't know. We'll see. So that's been going on. Like I said, I have been, the other main things have been that I've kind of been creating this like life domains kind of organizational system for myself, which has been a fucking game changer, and I'm super excited about it, and it feels like it is finally helping me organize my life in a holistic way, instead of it just being like very harshly delineated between work, which is super organized, and then my personal life, which is a fucking mess. So that's been cool, and that has helped me. I've been doing a lot of like setting up systems for myself, which I already do, but I feel like I've been refining them, and really some of them have been working so fucking well. I actually can't believe it. So it feels like I've really leveled up in that arena recently, which is cool. I have some new yeah, just setting up new routines and like procedures for myself to just like outsource that shit from my brain has been super, super helpful. And I might make a video about that at some point. Yeah, I've just had made some changes where they're actually like flexible enough to like stick to, which is, sticking to things when you have no external structure and you probably have ADHD is hard. So that's been cool. Like I said, if you're interested in the life domain stuff, I have an entire like over an hour long chat about it on my Patreon, so go head over there. I was working on several videos in the last few months, and they all just fell apart, which is a bummer, and kind of not something that's really happened to me before. I had one of them that I just wasn't happy with it at all, like the video quality, I was just like, I actually just don't want to do this, I'm going to scrap it. So I did, and then I actually tried to film a setup of my journal setup last month, but I got sidetracked by all the life domain stuff, and so I never finished it. And then I was working on a big vlog about kind of my relationship with my creativity, it was a really ambitious vlog, and really long, and I'd finished about 80% of the editing on it, and then my fucking hard drive corrupted, and I lost the complete edit, and I lost about 2/3 of the footage, like the first 2/3, and because it's like a vlog, like it's just me living my life and going through the story, it's not something I could re-record without like staging things, which I basically refuse to do, because that's not how I want to make things. So that was a real blow, to be honest, and kind of threw me out of whack with video making stuff in a way that I really kind of never have been. So I'm glad to be getting back to it now. Here we are. Hello. And I'm gonna, when I can stomach it, I'm gonna take a look at the remaining footage for that and see if there's anything, like if I could salvage like a smaller, different kind of slant video from it. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, oh yeah, and the other thing is, it was my birthday. I turned 30. On the 14th of September, I turned 30, and it was a fucking delight. So I'd been wondering what I wanted to do for it, and one of the things on my kind of wish list, or like post lockdown bucket list, was, oh my god, I really want to fucking play D&D in person, or a TTRPG, not specifically D&D. Just when I say D&D, just assume that I mean any TTRPG. For those who don't know, that's a tabletop role-playing game. Because I only started like in the last couple of years, I'd only been able to play digitally, and I was so looking forward to being able to organize something in person, but it's so hard to organize, oh my god. If you play TTRPGs, you'll know what I mean. And all of the people that I wanted to play with all work shifts, so it's a fucking nightmare. But I was like, oh my god, it's my 30th birthday, all of you fuckers book your time off now, because we're fucking doing this. And my brother very kindly was like, okay, well, I will create a one-shot then, and that'll be your birthday present, and I will run the game. And so yeah, it was a fucking delight. We went to a pub and we played D&D. It was me and Pete and my friend Rory and my brother Jack, and our friend Mike, and oh my god, we just had drinks and were very silly, and I played a pyromaniac goblin jester, and I had such a lovely time, you guys. I had such a lovely time. So I'm still kind of on the come down from that. But yeah, so that's what's been going on. I have like quite a lot of work ahead of me this month, but when I pulled my tarot, I got the Four of Wands, which is wild. I also used this deck that I got from Rory for my birthday. They got me this super lovely, what's it called? I'll put the name of it on the thing because I can't remember what it's called. But it's this cool like skeletons, like anatomical drawings and flowers kind of deck. It's really pretty, and I got the Four of Wands, which is wild because guess what I got last month? The Three of Wands. What? And so Four of Wands is all about celebration and community and parties and celebrating hard work. And I took that as a sign to be like, hey, it was your birthday, you have celebrated, keep fucking celebrating, keep celebrating. It's not over yet, okay? This whole month, like, I do have a lot of work ahead of me, but also, a bitch has survived 30 years on this godforsaken, stupid, wonderful planet, and I'm taking that seriously. So I'm gonna find more ways to treat myself, to try and live life instead of just exist, and to celebrate 30 years on this dumb planet. Yeah, that's it. That's what's been going on with me. As you've probably gathered, that's the end of the video. Woohoo! But stick around, I have something important to tell you. And it's going to come to me any second now. My course, the Story Magic Academy, is opening again really soon. Depending on when you're watching this, it may already be open. We like to kick off Enrollment Week with a free workshop called the Story Toolkit Workshop. It's a system for keeping your storytelling projects organised. It's kind of specifically geared towards like long-form fiction projects, but it's super customisable for other mediums, and it's bullet journal based. So if you liked this video and you're a writer or a storyteller, that's probably going to be right up your street, mate. Yeah, it's a kind of modified bullet journal system along with some other tools and a workflow that brings them all together. And it's super cool. It's a free workshop, and that is open from Thursday the 23rd of September for just over a week. So jump on in while it's open, and we like to use that workshop to kick off and celebrate Enrollment Week for the Story Magic Academy, which is my big fiction storytelling course, where I teach everything that I know about using the plot embryo to design meaningful fictional stories. So if you've been thinking about hopping on that, now is the time. We only open twice a year, and so the Academy is going to be open from Sunday the 26th of September for a week. So happy Enrollment Week, everybody. If you are a returning student, I hope you'll check back in and come along with us and do some story crafting. And if you've been thinking about joining, or you are a writer and you want to kind of like upgrade your craft when it comes to designing fiction stories, I hope you'll think about it. And I forgot the links for both of those. So the Story Toolkit Workshop is a free workshop, and you can jump on that at rachelsteven.com/toolkit, and the Academy is my paid course, and you can see all the details on that at rachelsteven.com/academy. Okay, I think that should be everything. I hope you liked the video, because I sure did make it. And I hope that you're having a not terrible day, and that even if you are, you're taking care of yourself. Okay, bye.